Welcome to The Know, I'm Turney.
I'm Jenkins.
Someone please call a plumber because the entire video game industry is leaking.
Not to be outdone by yesterday's, maybe true, but who knows, Battlefield leaks. Call of Duty arrived on the scene today with some juicy rumors of its own.
And according to this new rumor, the series might be headed where any good franchise goes to die.
Or live.
Space!
But they haven't even done Call of Duty in the hood yet. This rumor comes from the Future Factory known as NeoGAF, because of course it does, where trusted source Shinobi602 dropped into a Call of Duty 2016 rumor thread to leave some morsels of speculation.
In his tantalizingly brief post, Shinobi indicated that not only would the next Call of Duty take place in the very far future, it would also be a full-on sci-fi shooter that featured space combat.
Now, there have been a ton of fake leaks since the Wii U controller thing, but this one might actually have some teeth. You may recognize Shinobi602's handle from other popular rumors. The guy actually has a pretty decent track record when it comes to insider information.
His greatest hits include the reveal of the date of Halo 5 Guardians, the OG Call of Duty in space, the existence of Battlefield Hardline, Quantum Break's 2015 release, Mass Effect Andromeda's E3 2014 announcement. You get the idea. When it comes to verified, trusted sources behind handles on NeoGAF, this guy does all right.
However, Shinobi isn't the only source who's talked about Call of Duty in space, lest you get your hopes up that this isn't real at all. Eurogamer published a report today claiming that this rumor matches what they've been told by a separate source.
A report! That's at least one step up from a rumor.
Maybe two.
According to Eurogamer, this year's Call of Duty will offer space combat between warring sci-fi groups in the far-flung future.
Call of Duty Future Warfare, that's not a confirmed title, but hey, while we're naming things, they've had Advanced Warfare, they've had Modern Warfare, Future Warfare.
Spice.
It's being developed by Infinity Ward, who get their turn up to bat this year after 2015's Black Ops 3, which was developed by Treyarch.
Infinity Ward's last Call of Duty title was the not-so-hotly reviewed Call of Duty Ghosts, which came out back in 2013. Now, that game proved to be kind of a sore spot for the franchise, moving in around just 16.5 million copies in total.
That just is still a ridiculously huge number, but considering their previous contributions, Modern Warfare 2 and 3 moved something like 25 and 30 million units respectively, Ghost marks a pretty sizable downturn for the studio.
Which is probably why their next game won't have anything to do with it.
Surprise!
Eurogamer's report also claims that Call of Duty in Space won't be a direct sequel to Ghosts, which, some have already been talking about recently.
Yeah, those of you familiar with the series know that this would not be its first futuristic rodeo. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare 3 and Black Ops 3 both dabbled in the near future, but a hard sci-fi jump out of orbit would definitely be a series first. And interestingly enough, the opening of Ghosts also took place in space.
Somebody start putting lines everywhere.
Space elevators.
Yeah, exactly. Even though sending a franchise to space typically signals kind of a death knell for a series, looking at you, horror movies. The same isn't necessarily the case for a property kind of like Call of Duty. I mean, hopping to the future proved to be particularly lucrative for Activision's powerhouse with its most recent release, Black Ops 3.
As for what we can expect when Call of Duty goes to space, Activision has shown us in the past that they're pretty much willing to experiment with almost any direction, especially in the game's co-op modes. Ghosts, for instance, had Extinction Mode, which replaced the normal co-op survival zombie enemies, which are totally normal, with aliens called cryptids.
The mention of two warring factions from Eurogamer's report makes us wonder if we could be dealing with like an alien enemy in Call of Duty's far-flung future as opposed to two opposing human factions. Offering a brand new enemy type in Call of Duty's campaign would certainly mix up the formula a little bit.
Or it could go as poorly as all those awful movies that eventually end up in space. Was it Jason 10, Critters 4, Hellraiser Bloodline, Abbott and Costello Go to Mars, Leprechaun 4, Moonraker, Sharknado 3? The list is actually fairly long.
How dare you, Sharknado 3 is an amazing piece of art. Space is usually a sign that you've run out of shit to do, so you say, fuck it, put him in space. Even Naughty Dog considered putting Nathan Drake in space at some point in the series, but thankfully they came to their senses and kept making awesome games.
So yeah, going to space, not always comforting for fans.
No, another fan concerned about the spacefaring Call of Duty would be the space marine genre that, it's kind of overcrowded at this point. And while that may have been true almost a decade ago, FPS games have taken a hard turn last generation towards military shooters, and now that field is actually pretty wide open.
And in terms of games that really capture a military feel in space, the competition fairly slim. Halo, for instance, is a title that aims for that tone, but as successful as it is, its audience still pales in comparison to Call of Duty's.
Really, the biggest competitor that moves similar numbers, at least, for a sci-fi Call of Duty would be something like Destiny, another multi-platform franchise in Activision's umbrella. But considering Destiny leans more towards space magic than military shooters, they might actually kind of stay out of each other's sandboxes.
Or, if you'll allow us to put on our conspiracy hats for just a moment,
oh, they never went off.
This could be a direct response to another futuristic shooter, Titanfall. That game, huge success. It was developed by former heads of Infinity Ward, after all, who they went on to form Respawn Entertainment during that ugly lawsuit with Activision. Remember that?
I like your conspiracy theory voice.
Thank you.
The start of development for Call of Duty 2016 probably coincided with Titanfall's massive hype train, which would have been flying off the rails at about the same time when it launched, early 2014-ish.
As for when we'll hear more about Call of Duty's potential trip to outer space, Activision did recently announce that the game would be at E3, which should surprise nobody since Call of Duty is always at E3. We'll just have to wait and see how the game shapes up in just a few months and whether or not space hurts or helps the series.
For as much guff as Call of Duty and other series get for yearly installments, this kind of experimentation is kind of one of the cool things about that whole model. I mean, more traditional studios without all the resources of Activision have to play things pretty safe. If you've only got one franchise entry coming out every 5 years, you're pretty weighty with your gambles there.
Yeah, so hey, if sending Call of Duty into the stratosphere gives us a super fun game that's different from what they normally do, yeah, sign us up.
Absolutely, as long as it's better than Moonraker. So please, tell us, is this trip to space just like a death knell for the series, or are you all for it?
And for more sci-fi rumors and the next franchises to head to the stars, like this video and subscribe to the now.
All right, let's start over.
Wind Waker in space. Oh, hold on, I got one. Mario Galaxy.
You are Mr. Gay.